Chapter 7 Big Trouble in Little Rock. The Montgomery bus boycott made Martin Luther King famous. People all over America began to talk about the young black minister who had organized it. But King knew that Montgomery was only the beginning. Black people had won their fight in Montgomery, but it was not the only fight that they had to win in the South. To win their civil rights, black people needed to organize themselves. In 1957, hundreds of Southern black church leaders met together to talk about what to do next. At the meeting, King said that black people had to work together to win their civil rights. The church leaders organized themselves into the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, SCLC. Martin Luther King became the president of the SCLC. He told them that they had to join together to fight for the rights of black people in the South. King wrote a book, Stride Toward Freedom, to explain his ideas. In his book, he talked about the teachings of Gandhi. King believed that nonviolence was the only way to win the fight for black rights. In Montgomery, the boycott had been nonviolent. The police had beaten the protesters, and they had tried to break the boycott by violence, but the protesters had not fought back. They had no sticks or guns, and they had not fought violence with violence. They had just refused to let people treat them unfairly, and they had won because they were right, not because they were violent. There were many other things in the South that needed to change. Schools were segregated. White children went to all white schools. Black children went to all black schools. Although there were more black children than white children in the South, much more money was spent on white schools than on black schools. But in 1954, the law was changed. Now, it was against the law to have different schools for black children and white children. The new law said that all schools had to take both black children and white children. Change came slowly to the South. Many white people hated the new law, and in many Southern states, they refused to obey it. Arkansas was one of these states. In the state capital, Little Rock, 9 black students tried to enter the Central High School at the start of the 1957-58 school year. Little Rock soon became one of the most famous places in the story of the fight for civil rights. On the 2nd of September, the night before the start of the new school year, the leader of the Arkansas government, Orville Forbes, ordered the National Guard to stand outside Central High School. He told them to stop any black students from entering the school because he was afraid of trouble from protesters. The school was closed. But a judge said that Forbes could not use the National Guard to do something that was against the law. On the 23rd of September, the Little Rock police took the 9 black students into Central High. A crowd of more than 1,000 white people tried to stop the black students from entering. The crowd rioted and attacked the police. The pictures of the riot were seen all over the world, and many Americans were shocked to see such ugly attacks in their own country. Next day, the President of the United States, Dwight D. Eisenhower, ordered the army to Little Rock. 1,000 soldiers stood in front of the crowd as the 9 black students entered Little Rock Central High School. Every morning, the 9 black children walked to the school, and every morning the soldiers protected them as they walked through crowds of angry whites. One of the Little Rock 9, Elizabeth Eckford, later talked about that walk past the angry crowd. I looked for a friendly face in the crowd. I saw a nice-looking old woman. She seemed to have a kind face. But when I smiled at her, she spat at me. Inside the school, things were different. Ernest Green, one of the 9 black students, remembered the friendly white students who helped him. I missed 3 weeks of school, so I was behind in my classwork. A couple of boys in my class gave me notes on the lessons that I'd missed. After seeing the crowd outside the school, I was really surprised by this.